Okay, for the Psychic Surprise tutorial, I'll just start off by going over the actual setup and how you can reset your setup. It's very easy. It's a little tedious, but it is really easy to do. And then after that, I'll go into how to actually perform the effect. So first off, for the setup, what you want to do is just get a lighter colored back deck of cards, shuffle them up really good, and when they're well mixed, you can because you want them to look very random. When they're well mixed, just go through each card. Now obviously my numbers on the back here are all mixed up, but what you can do with your mix-up deck is just take a black marker and just mark starting from 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4, and just mark all the cards all the way up to 52 so you know you have all the numbers. So just starting from 1 all the way up through marking all the way up to 52. Okay, so then you'll have all your numbers 1 to 52 randomly marked on random mixed cards. Okay, now once you have your deck set up like that, what you're going to do next is you're going to mix your cards again so that all the numbers on the backs of your cards are very randomized and mixed. Okay, just like I have here now. Now once you've done that, you're going to create a list. You're going to get a piece of paper and you're going to just set two numbers side by side, two random numbers. And what you're going to do is you're going to turn over one card and you're going to get a piece of paper and you're going to look at the opposite card, whatever number that is. You're going to mark 9 of clubs as the 27th card. So you're going to jot down numbers 1 to 52 on a piece of paper. You're going to go to number 27 on your list and you're going to mark down now obviously it's going to be different on my list because I set it up differently, but you're going to mark down on 27, for example. You're going to look at that number. You're going to jot down 9 of clubs on 27, and then you're going to flip up the other card and flip down the first one, and you're going to mark down 6 of clubs on 49. Okay, and that's what you're going to do. You're just going to go through each pair of cards, flipping up one and the other, and you're going to mark the number opposite corresponding to the card next to it. So 7 of diamonds would go on 20, Jack of spades would go on 1. Then you go to the next pair of cards. 35 would be Jack of diamonds, and on your list you'd write 2 of spades on 44. And you keep going through just like that, and make sure they're flipped back over actually. So, because you want to keep the pairs together in order as you record them. And as your pairs are set like that and all recorded on a piece of paper, all you have to do once you're done, when you have 2 equal stacks labeled and finished, you're just going to take any one of the stacks and just drop it on top of the other to complete your deck. And then your deck is set up, and you can actually cut it as many times as you'd like when you go to do the trick, and it won't matter because it's just cycling through the cards. It won't matter. It won't screw up the setup. So that'll be the setup for this labeled deck with the numbers. Okay, so I'll go on to what you're going to do next later. But that's the general setup. Now what you're going to do with your list, after recording your labeled cards, you're going to get another deck of cards, a different colored deck, and you're simply going to set up the cards so that card number 1 is the top card, the Queen of Spades in my case. Card number 2 is the 6 of Hearts, and you just go through your list starting with one card face up on the table for the first card. Look for the next card, so number 2 would be 6 of Hearts, so I'd look for the 6 of Hearts, set that face up on top. I'd then look for the 7 of Hearts being the third card, and just keep going through like that, face up, all the way through, looking for the cards that pertain to each number that you've listed earlier from your marked deck, and then your deck is now set up exactly in order needed for the marked setup that you did earlier. Now this deck is ready, and you can actually start the trick like playing like you're kind of mixing the cards a little bit, just doing overhand shuffles, but really all you're doing is you're just cutting the deck one cut at a time, not disturbing the order. You're just cycling through the cards just like that. And you remember your bottom card, your original bottom card in the setup, and mine was the 10 of clubs, the very number 52. So when I go to show the cards to the spectator, I can just casually look for, as I'm going through the cards, I would casually look for the 10 of clubs, which for some reason I'm having a hard time finding right now. But anyways, you'd look for your bottom card, and once you find it, okay, there it is, you would just casually cut it to the bottom like that, not making any big deal of it, and you're now ready. The deck is now set for the trick, and you can set it on the table, and you're ready to go. So that's the setup. Okay, now for the trick itself, what you're going to do is it's all self-working. You will you go on to explain that you're going to do the psychic ability experiment, and you're going to divide first you show the deck of cards with all the different numbers on the back, which will look very much mixed, and you can actually have the spectator cut the cards as many times as they'd like, one cut at a time. It won't screw up the setup. Now, what you have right now are the pairs of cards that you originally set up. And what it should be, now my cards aren't in this order because I haven't been able to really set it for this tutorial, because I kind of have to explain things with the cards, so they're going to get mixed up anyways. But basically what will happen is the setup will be this. Your top card, like my 6 of diamonds, let's say, should match with the number, the 27th card in the position, whatever the 27th card is, whatever number that is. Let's say the 49 is the 27th card. The number 49 would correspond with this 6 of diamonds at the very top of the deck as the 49th card in this pile. That's how the setup will be. So no matter how you cut it, the top card, whatever that card is, say 5 of hearts, the number of the 27th card will be the corresponding right target number to suit how it's located in this deck. And the other way around, the card on the 27th position, say 4 of spades in this case, would actually match the number on the back of the top card of the deck, which would be the 11th card in that position in the deck. That's how it would work. So it doesn't matter how it's cut. Secondly, when you start to do the psychic experiment, what you're going to do is you're going to divide the deck into 2 even piles. Now, it's very important how you divide the deck into 2 even piles. You have to deal 26 cards down like this. Deal 26 cards to split up the cards. What this will do is we'll reverse the order of the first half of the deck, like so. So you have 26 cards reversed. So it'll be the exact mirror, like the pairs will be correspondingly perfectly with the other half, the bottom half of the deck, but they'll be reversed. Okay, it's very important that that's how you do it. Now you're ready to do the psychic ability experiment, and you have them start out. It's important that they must do 25 swaps by dealing the top card to the bottom of the pile, and they can do that 25 times however they wish, and it's just the way it'll work out. You will always land on 2 corresponding cards that fit each other for the number and their characteristic, whatever their card is. They'll line up perfectly no matter what. It's just the way mathematically how it works when you have one reversed pile next to the other, side by side. So, just as an example, let's say for the first round, again, there's 5 rounds like I explained in the effect. You start with the first round swapping 25 cards, because you explain that there's 26 cards in each pile, so they get 25 swaps to potentially use all of the corresponding to all of the 26 cards in the pile with 25 swaps, or they can go back and forth, it doesn't matter. But anyways, so they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they can go back and forth 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25. And they arrive at these 2 random top cards. Well, supposedly random, but really the 2 cards they arrive at the top, they will match. They will be the corresponding cards that will, the number corresponding to on the back of this card will suit the location of the card in the pile. So really, you could actually end the trick right here if you wanted. You could have them arrive at these 2 random cards just at this one round. They could choose whatever card they want. It doesn't matter. They can choose whatever card because both correspond to each other. The 34th card would be the 3 of diamonds in there in this case. Or if they chose to flip up this card, the 23rd card would be the 5 of clubs in this deck. And you could just end the trick like that. If you wanted to do it that way and shorten it up, that's fine. But I added in the 5 rounds and having the 5 pairs of cards for the last bit, because I thought it would just add a little bit more power to the trick when you reduce it through this whole process to these last 2 final cards, and then it allows for that surprise ending where they go through the remaining discarded cards, and you show them that they actually got those dead on too. So it just kind of adds, I think, a little more to the effect, even though, you know, it is slightly longer, but I think it's really worth it. So yeah, so you go I'll just explain further. After you've done the first phase, if you want to continue on to do this next bit, you go to the 4th phase. Okay, after you've discarded the cards. Now I have to mention this is another important thing. After you arrive, after the first phase, they've gone through the 25 swaps. They've arrived at these 2 cards. The 2 cards they arrive at, you have to set side by side on the table. Make sure you set them side by side. Don't stack them on one another. It'll screw up the setup. I'll show you why later. But just set them side by side like that. Then go on to the next, counting down to the 4th round, because we want 5 rounds in total. You could have as many rounds as you want, actually. I thought 5 rounds is just a nice, short, even number. So you go to the 4th round, and you have to make sure you go 24 swaps this time, not 25, because you're 1 card shorter now. So you do 24 swaps for the 2nd round. So they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and then you take the remaining, the 2 top cards that they arrived at, and you set those aside, just like that. It doesn't matter which way you pile them, that won't matter, but what does matter is that they're piled side by side, okay? And then, again, you continue to the 3rd round, you go down to 23 swaps, you go to the 4th round, you're down to 22 swaps, and then the last 5th and final round, you're down to 21 swaps. Once they've gone through those swaps, they'll have 5 cards in each of their piles, just like that. So you remove those cards aside, you bring these cards now. Now, it doesn't matter, the spectator can choose to pile whichever pile they want on top of one another. It's important that they just pile one of these piles on top of one another. So once that's done, this packet is set for the rest of the trick. Now what you can do at this point is you can spread the cards out, have the spectator just point at a card to cut at. It's just a little easier than having them cut this small packet of cards, because it's kind of tedious to try to cut. So what I figured to do is just have them spread the cards, and they can just point at a card, whatever card they point at, you can cut it there. And I think it just adds to the effect that they feel that the cards are just getting further, a little more mixed. So they decide they point at that, and you mix it, and there you go. Now it doesn't matter how many times you cut it, the setup is already perfect the way it is. Now what you do is you do the exact same thing like you did before. You're going to split up these cards now. You have 10 cards, so you need to split them up, of course, into 2 piles of 5. So the way to do this, you don't deal them back and forth. Remember, it's important that you deal the first half of the pile just into one pile like this. 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, what that does is reverses these cards that are connected, paired up with these cards. So you have the perfect reverse of these corresponding cards that pair up with these ones. Now you're set for the final phase of the trick. Now, because you have 5 cards in each pile, you're going to do 4 swaps. You start with 4, then 3, then 2, and then your 1 last swap, and then you'll have your 2 remaining cards. So let's say they do their 4 swaps, 1, 2, 3, 4. They take 2 cards that are remaining on top, and you discard them. Now when you discard them, you can actually pile them one on top of the other this time at the end of the trick. It doesn't matter, because they're going to be together for later when you show them, and they will work together as is. So then you go through the next phase of the swap, which would be 3 swaps. So let's say they do 1, 2, and 3. Take those 2 cards. Again, you can pile them on top of the rest of the cards. And then they do 2 swaps. Let's say they choose that. You can pile those. and then really kind of build this up at the end. Okay, make this is their crucial decision. You know, they only have one swap left, so which one are they going to do? They do this one, let's say. They do one swap. That gets rid of those two. They're left with those two cards, and then they can decide whichever card that they flip up is going to be the card, their target card, the 3 of diamonds they flip up, and believe it or not, the number beside it, when they count down on this deck, the 34th card will be their card. It'll work every time if this is done exactly right. Now, it's important to note too that when you deal to count to their card, that you hold the deck face down and you deal the cards face up like this. 1, 2, 3, counting like that, face up. Because when you're done the count and reveal the card, you will then be able to lift off the face-up cards on the table and replace them back face down, and it'll retain the order of the deck, which is what you want, of course. You want to keep the deck in the same order the whole time, so that you can then move on and say, okay, let's just see how you did with these cards. You never know, what if we landed on these 2 cards? So it's important that you take the top two cards. Don't take any other cards, just the top 2, because they're together, and they're all together in the pile. You take the top 2 cards, you get them to choose again any card they want to flip up. They look at the opposite number. Again, you can do the count just like you did before. Go to that number, it will reveal that card. You can set the cards all back down on top like that. And of course, that'll blow them away that they got it a second time with their discarded cards. And then you can show them again with the next 2 cards, do the same thing, and you can go through the whole thing if you want and just totally blow them away, showing that they've got them right all through their discards. And yeah, so it's sort of a multiple any card at any number sort of bizarre trick. But anyways, so yeah, so that's the Psychic Surprise. I hope you liked it, and I hope you understood the tutorial all right. And thank you for watching.